Welcome to the Destiny Church Tees Valley podcast. As you listen, it is our prayer that you are transformed by audacious faith, inspiring hope, and extravagant love.
That's what difference habits make. From small little things like those dominoes, just little dominoes, one at a time, building up the impact that it makes, being able to do some big things. And so that's why we're in the series on habits. The thing is God loves you. But he loves you too much for you to stay the same. Because he loves us, he wants to see change and transformation in our lives. And that's what his love is for every single person. And that's what Claire was talking about with Safe Families, was the whole thing about little things making a difference. Yes, that's what Safe Families is about, making a difference in our world. And so it's the small things, and they've kind of bottled it, haven't they, and been able to kind of show how we as a church can get involved and impact that. We can impact a life if we just have that open door. They open the door, and then it gives you an opportunity to love someone, to care for someone, to encourage someone, to spur someone on, to just do something small. But it's amazing how something small can make a massive difference in our lives. I want to say to you, that's what's made a difference in my life. That's why I do what I do, because other people have spoken into my life little words of encouragement, and particularly at major times. And it's, when we're in difficult times, what we want is we don't need somebody to kick us. We need somebody to encourage us. We need somebody to pick us up, don't we? And so this is a beautiful thing that we have with Safe Families, is that we're able to get on board with that. So let me encourage you to get on board and to see Claire afterwards, and just to see what you can do. You know, we often feel inadequate, don't we? We feel, what can I do? But one of the things, and the whole point of this series, is that actually something small done on a regular basis that can become something big. It gives the opportunity for God to work in a massive way. Yes? And so that's what we can do. We can see some big things happen when we are just faithful in the small things. I want you to think about David. King David, we know of him and his exploits, and we particularly know of him with the giant Goliath. And we kind of, the world talks about the David Goliath in all sorts of different scenarios, doesn't it? It's a biblical story that the world understands. And so, for example, if Leeds United are playing Manchester United, it's kind of David and Goliath. Yes, it's a kind of they think, or more appropriately, England playing South Africa. I have to get my back on those that took advantage of the World Cup with rugby. We don't get many opportunities, so we take advantage there, don't we, Bernard? Anyway, what was I saying? Let's get back on track. But what we know about him is we just know that he took some stones. How many stones? 5 stones that he took up in his sling, and he slew the sling, and he hit the giant. Where did he hit him? Even then, even though they didn't have psychiatry and they didn't have neuroscience, they understood that a blow to the head was going to have severe consequences. Yes? In other words, the head, the brain, the mind is so important to us. But you know why he was able to do that? Was because when he was unseen, when he was a shepherd boy, when no one was looking, he was practicing with his sling. He was getting it in so that when he came to the giant, he wasn't going, oh, now, what should I do? I hope this works. He understood. He knew he could hit it. He knew he could hit Goliath. It was never going to be a problem, because why? He'd proved himself in the small things. He'd already killed bears and lions. So Goliath, he's small, isn't he, on comparison? In fact, he talks about David, that he got hold of a lion, he got him by the neck, and he says that he slapped him. I don't know many people that can slap a lion. But he learned these things when nobody was watching. In the smallness, he was a faithful shepherd in the day-to-day things, and he understood that. So I wonder for you, what's the stone that every day you're practicing with? What's the stone in your sling that enables you to have a habit so that when the day of big things appears, you are ready? And that's what this series is about, being ready. The small things, understanding that the small things are so unbelievably important. Now, just to quickly recap. Week 1, we talked about the importance of our identity. We talked about who, before, you're getting there? Who before, I'm preaching better than you're responding. And I know it's hard. We're British. We struggle with that, don't we? When we sit in there, it's a lot harder. So maybe you want to stand. You may want to stand on your seat. You may want to I don't know. Yeah, feel free. Certainly won't put me off, that's for sure. I might just go on longer, of course, so there is always that. But last week we talked about what one habit, based on who you want to become, do you need to start? What one habit, based on who you want to become, and we talked about in the first week about who do you want to become? Well, your goal should be to become like Jesus. Should be to become like Christ. There's no other kind of who you want to become can compare to that. That is it. That's the epitome. That's the goal of every single person that God created. That's the goal that he has for their life. So it's up to you whether you follow that. But I'm just kind of saying to you, if you want to follow that, if you want to become like Christ, these are some of the things that you can do. And the big thing is to find a habit that will help you to do that. It will be something on a daily basis, some things on a weekly basis, some things on maybe a monthly basis, some things on an annual basis that you will do. There'll be habits that you put in that enable you to become more like Jesus. Yes? And so we've talked a bit about them, and certainly Faith talked about them in the week prior to the start of this series when she talked about putting first things first. There are some things that need to be first. Some things that need to be before other things. Yes? And so it's important to us. Proverbs 29 and verse 18. Don't know if that's up there. No. Proverbs 29 verse 18 says, without vision, people perish. Without a revelation. In other words, what do you see? This is what the first week was about. Who you want to become. That is so important for us to understand that. What's the vision of who you want to become? It's important to us. If you don't have a vision of the future of where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years' time, you're nothing to work towards. And so it's important that we look at that, yes? So let me ask you the question. This is the question for today. This is the question you might want to write down, but this is the question for today is, what habit, based on who you want to become, what habit do you need to break? Last week, we asked, based on who you want to become, what habit do you need to start? This week, we're asking the question, based on who you want to become, what habit do you need to break, to stop, yes, to eliminate from your life? It is so important that we understand this, that it is one step after another step, and it's the little steps that will make a massive difference. Now, there's a story in the Bible of a guy called Samson. Now, Samson is known for his strength. He's known for his long hair. But the Bible talks about Samson, and it says that actually it says, I don't know if it's up there. Is that one up there? I don't know. Anyway, it says Samson, it says that he went to Gaza and there he saw a prostitute. Is it up now? Yeah. One day, Samson went to Gaza where he saw a prostitute. Now, from where Samson lived, from his hometown was Zorah, from his hometown to go to Gaza was 25 miles. In other words, it wasn't next door. So, it took 25,250 steps to get there. In other words, Samson had 25,250 opportunities to turn back. He had 25,250 opportunities to change his mind, which he could have gone in a different direction. But instead, you see, we read it and we think, oh, he went to Gaza. What we don't realize is Samson went out of his way and he was caught and he saw a prostitute. It's what he saw. Your mind, they reckon, up to about 45% of your mind is taken up with a visual. So what you see is important. So dramatically important. So my question to you is, what are the little steps that you're taking every day? What are you doing? Where is it taking you? Are you able to identify the little things in your life that are taking you? Are they taking you to Gaza to go down the wrong path? Or are they taking you down another path that God wants you to go? And maybe you're on a path to Gaza. Maybe you're on a path to somewhere that's not going to be good. You're on a path to somewhere that doesn't lead healthily. I want to say to you, that path, you can change that path at any time. You can turn that path, but it's your decision to change that path, and you have to make that choice. And sometimes it needs something, a painful experience, to make us change our ways, says Proverbs 20, verse 30. In other words, what does God have to do in your life that gives you such pain that you will change your ways? Samson, unfortunately, was just before his death. For many of us, we don't learn and we don't take on board the importance of the little things in our life that they make us who we are. They transform us by what we are doing. Proverbs 5, verses 21 to 23 says, "For your ways are in full view of the Lord, and he examines all your paths. The evil deeds of the wicked ensnare them. The cords of their sins hold them fast. For lack of discipline, he will be led astray by his own great folly." In other words, what's discipline? It's about habits. It's having the daily habits in your life. If you don't have those daily habits in your life, guess where it's leading? It's leading somewhere where you don't really want to go. But if you will understand that God is watching where you're going, he's watching the path that you're on, he understands every day the little things that you do, that they matter. Because God isn't looking at you doing something and thinking, oh, he's just doing that, or she's just doing that, whatever. He's looking and thinking, this leads somewhere. This leads somewhere. And Solomon talks a lot about that, particularly in Proverbs. And he talks about the young man, and he says that he's watching out of the window, and he's saying, there goes a young man, and he's seen a woman, and he talks all about that in Proverbs. And I want to say to you, because Solomon, when he was looking out, understood that although that young man thought it was an event, even though that young man thought when he saw that woman that all his whatever had lined up, ducks had lined up, he thought he died and gone to heaven. I want to say to you that Solomon, when he was looking at him, understood that young man was on a path. He understood that was a destiny, that he actually, it wasn't just a one-off event. It was going to lead somewhere. And we've got to understand that the things that we do lead somewhere. And so the first thing that we have to do is to confess it. We need to acknowledge the things in our life that need to change. And that's why I'm asking you today, what one thing in your life, what one habit in your life do you need to break? What is there something that you're doing on a regular basis that needs to stop? Because it's so important. Now, once you acknowledge it, once you say what it is, you're already halfway there. Just the acknowledgement makes a difference. Proverbs 28 and verse 13 says, people who conceal their sins will not prosper. But if they confess and turn from them, they will receive mercy. There's power in confession. There's lots of scriptures in the Bible that talk about confession and the importance of it. We need to declare some of the things in our life that need to be broken, that need to be changed. And I'm believing today that today the generational curses can be broken. I'm believing today that strongholds can be broken. I'm believing today that God's going to work a miracle of transformation in our lives. When we believe Him, we have the faith for it, and we have the vision of the hope that He has set before us, and we can do it based because He puts that love and His power in us. He's able to do it, and we've got to understand that. Now, so confess it, define it, declare it, what it is that needs to be broken. Is it a bad attitude? Is it complaining? Is it gossip? Is it overeating? Is it being a tech addict? Is it social media? Is it Facebook? Is it too much TV? Is it too many movies? I don't know what it might be. What is it, that one habit that you know God is speaking to you about and saying you need to break it? You need to stop this habit. Now, we learned last week, I think it was, that good habits, for good habits, the pain is the pain up front, but the benefit later. So in other words, when you start a good habit, you don't feel the benefit of it straight away. But if you have a bad habit, it immediately gives you some kind of benefit, some kind of relief, some kind of relieves the stress or whatever it might be. But the bad side to it, the reward to it, the results of what you're doing are always down the line. Yes? So in other words, let's say you have a bad habit of smoking. Now, initially you can smoke and it doesn't seem to make any difference. But when you're years down the line and you've got cancer, you suddenly think, hang on, too late. Same with overeating. You might be eating fast food all the time and you've got an unhealthy diet. When you have an unhealthy diet, it's fine. You can think it's great because the immediate benefit is a sugar rush and fat rush and you feel, whoo, you know what I mean? So you've got an immediate benefit. Your hunger is kind of taken away, at least for 5 minutes. But what happens is that in the long term, you end up with health problems like diabetes and these kind of things. All because of the little steps you're doing. It's not eating a McDonald's or some other fast food thing once in a blue moon. But if you're doing it on a regular basis, it's going to make a difference to your life and to your health. And so it's important to us that we understand that, yes? So I know you're kind of sat there thinking, Jonathan, yes, but how? Yeah? You're all going, YBH. Yes, but how? Yeah, you got there. So you just say that you're going to shout out, go, Jonathan, YBH. YBH. In other words, yes, but how? Yes, Jonathan, we agree with you, but how? Because that's the key, isn't it? It's not necessarily the what, because we often know what needs to stop and break in our life, but it's how to break it. So last week we looked at how to start our habits, didn't we? And we used an acronym called Vera. Good-looking Vera. Stunning Vera. Yes, she's the one that helps us to start good habits. Yes, and we know Vera means faith. So, in other words, to start a good habit, you make it visible. Yes? You make it so that you can see it. Yes? And E for easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yes? R for rewarding. In other words, it's satisfying. You get some benefit from it. You think, yeah, if I do this, this is what I'm going to benefit from. And A for attractive. Yes? So, in other words, it needs to be something that's going to start a craving, as it were, in you. Yes? So we looked at that, and we looked at the whole loop, didn't we? I don't know if we have the loop. There we go. In other words, there's a cue, and when that just triggers us, then we start into a routine, and then we end up into a reward. And so we're looking for that, and when you do it more than a few times, it ends up as a craving in our life. So we looked at that, so that's how we can get some positive habits. So this week we're going to look at how do we get to stop bad habits? Well, guess what? All you do is you inverse what was Vera. And so what you need is hope. What do you need? Yeah, we need hope. Absolutely. So the first thing you need to do if you want to break a habit, you need to hide it. Keep it hidden. Keep it away. In other words, because we are very visually stimulated. So in other words, if I go home and we've got some chocolate or some cookies or something like that on the side, or we've got some fruit, okay, if there's chocolate out, what am I going to eat? If there's fruit out, what am I going to eat? Chocolate. I'll go scouring keep my craving going. But what I'm saying is that's what happens, just natural. So our environment matters. Yes, it's so important to understand that if you want to break a habit, you have to hide it. You have to obscure it. You have to make it so that you can't see it, so that it makes it difficult. So in other words, if you've got a habit of reading your Bible, and you want to break that habit, what you do is instead of leaving your Bible out open so that you can see it on a daily basis, and every morning you can see it and go, yeah, what you do is you close it, hide it, and put it in a drawer. Simples. And what will happen is you'll stop reading your Bible. Now, I don't want you to stop reading your Bible, of course, but I'm just saying to you that's how we break it. Very, very simple. In other words, if you want to make it, you make it visible. If you want to break it, you make it invisible. You hide it. And it's so important to do that. Why? Because environment matters. So, for example, like when I take Kath to a lovely hotel, and we get up in the morning for breakfast. Now, depending on the hotel, there are two types of hotel. Now, there's one type of hotel where there's a menu, and you kind of choose from that menu. So you kind of go and you think, oh, okay, I'll have egg on toast or something like that. So you're kind of restricted to what's on the menu. There's other hotels, like the one we went to in Vienna, which, of course, many of you guys paid for. We went to a hotel there, and it was a buffet breakfast. Whoa! I mean, talk about excitement. Talk about, you come in and you're going kind of, now, I'll start with egg and beans, and then, I'm going to have a boiled egg, and I can have a poached egg, and that's just the eggs, and then you go on the juices, and then you go on the juices, and you kind of think, which juice should I have? And you're just inundated with choice, and you can finish off with cheese and biscuits and do all this. There's just so much. Why? I can see it, therefore I devour it, don't I? So in other words, actually, which is the most beneficial for me, health-wise, is the menu. But which do I order when I'm booking the hotel? Does it have it? But I'm just saying to you, when we're in life, it's so important what you put in front of your eyes, what you see. If you want to practice the guitar, put the guitar in the living room. Put it where you are so that you're constantly looking at your guitar. Don't put it in the bedroom, in a cupboard. You're never going to practice it. The fact you're going to try and get up off the couch, turn the TV off, and then go and practice, it's never going to happen. But if you think through it, it will matter. You can change your life by changing your environment. Rooms matter. Rooms matter. If you go into your kitchen, if I go into the kitchen, I'm kind of been studying, and then I just think I need a break, and then I think, I just walk to the kitchen. And guess what, when I go to the kitchen, somebody's put a fridge in there. I don't know who did that, but they put a fridge in there. You just happen to, it's a habit. You know what they say, don't they? I think Kath has one of the things. Fridge pickers wear bigger. Okay. So I don't know why I said that, but anyway, drag that off the tape. But all I'm saying is visual. So you're opening. So what I'm saying is that room speaks to me. It's an environment for food, isn't it? Yes. So the environment makes a massive difference. And James Clear, in Atomic Habits, says this. He says, first of all, our habits change depending on which room you are in and the cues in front of you. He says, environment is the invisible hand that shapes our behavior. Every habit is context-driven. Now, let me give you this in context of bad habits. Yes? So, for example, let's say you are a porno addict. Now, if you're a connect group, are you going to watch porn? No. Different environment with different people. You're not going to do it. Yes? When are you going to watch that? You're going to watch it when you're alone, when nobody's around, and you're thinking, yes? So all I'm saying to you is think about the bad habits in your life and think to yourself a number of things. But the first thing is, what is the environment in which I'm involved? What's the place? What's in that place? Can I change that place? Can I change the way it is? You want to go early to bed? Change some of your routine. Get in your pajamas before time to go to bed. Might be an option. Turn the heating down because your body naturally is wanting to go into a cooler temperature. And more than anything, it saves money. But anyway, I always get sidetracked. I don't know how I ever stay on. Anyway, what was I saying? Somebody keep reminding me. So environment matters, yes? It's different. It is so important to us. So, for example, like when we go shopping to the supermarket, they understand, the researchers understand the products that we're going to go for. So, for example, they understand that visual matters. So they put the more expensive, they put the Heinz baked beans right when your eyesight. But the cheap chogy stuff, yes, that's half the price, quarter the price, whatever, they put out of sight. They put it so it's low, so you've got to kind of... Now, if you're a Yorkshireman, you naturally have a stoop. You naturally... So it's a habit I have. So I miss what everybody else sees. So all things will be what they understand it. They're making millions and billions of money, all because they know where you look. Because they're after your attention. They want to see what you are seeing. They want to know. That's why in Facebook, they follow you. They want to know what you're doing. They try to get their adverts to fit into you because they're wanting to sell to you. And I could expand on that, but you can just read the book and see how much that happens. Hide it if you possibly can, as much as you can. The second thing, of course, was E. And the Vera was make it easy if you want to start it. So if you want to make it, if you want to stop it, what do? You make it. You're beginning what begins or obstacles. You put an obstacle. You know, as you make it difficult. Yes. Fortunately, difficult didn't start with O, but it should have done. Okay. So in other words, you've got to try your hardest to put some things in the way so that it actually is not easy to do. You're trying to inverse the law of starting a habit. You're trying to change your habit, so you're saying, okay, I'm going to try and make it as hard as is possible. Yes? So in other words, I'm going to put things in a way. I'm going to put it in a drawer or, the remote for the TV, put it in the garage or something like that. Or whatever. In other words, make it so that actually in order to do that thing that you want to do, for example, like, I don't know if I mentioned it the other week, there's a guy that's connected his computer to so that he can, it only works when he's on the treadmill. The TV only works. So if he wants to watch Netflix, he has to be on the running mill. So in other words, he said, well, this is what I want to do. My reward is Netflix. And so the routine is that I get on the treadmill. So he's changed something. So he's got an obstacle, but he's willing to overcome that obstacle because he wants to do it. So all I'm saying is make it hard. Make it hidden, make it hard. Yes, put some stuff, some obstacles in the way so that you can't do it again. Yes? So in other words, if you smoke, an obstacle. Don't buy any. If you know what I mean? So if you've no cigarettes on you and you have to walk to the shop and you say, well, okay, maybe your shop might be at the end of the road. Make it so, okay, I've got to walk 5 miles for a cigarette. It won't be long before you stop smoking. Because you're putting some obstacles in the way. They're not around you. But if you sit around with cigarettes in your things or whatever it might be, what are you going to do? We all only have a limited amount of willpower. And the more you use it, the weaker it gets. So you have to put habits into place. So put some obstacles in the place. Proverbs 4:14 and 15. You've not got it. Who's got a Bible? Proverbs chapter 4. Has anybody got any glasses? Just happened to be here. You see, they were out of sight. It doesn't have to be far for it to be out of sight for me. That's all I'm saying. Okay. It says in Proverbs 4:14, do not set foot on the path of the wicked or walk in the way of evil men. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn from it and go on your way. Is that important? So important, isn't it? What he's saying is there is a path. But instead of going on that path, turn, hide from it, change what you're looking at, and put some obstacles in the way. And the P, well, if we had, in Vera, we had R for rewarding, didn't we? So we inverse rewarding and we make it, instead of it being satisfying, we make it painful. Instead of pleasurable, we make it painful. So the result of doing it is some kind of pain, some kind of penalty, some kind of punishment. You punish yourself, yeah, by having a McDonald's or something like that. Joking. Okay, so in other words, you've got to see that actually, if you want to stop that habit, you've got to make it so that there's somewhere where you're going to feel some pain. It's not going to give you the pleasure that you're after. It will actually, you'll find that it's going to be painful. You've got to think about that. Think about how can you make something painful. And one of the ways that you can do that very easily is to visualize the consequences of what's going to happen in the future. You start with visualization is so important. And they've seen this in the sports world. Michael Phelps, great swimmer. One of the things is they talk about, if you read the book, you'll read about his habits. And one of the things with him is that he spends his time visualizing. So he's dreaming about winning. He's dreaming about diving in the pool. He's dreaming about what he'll do if his goggles come off. He's dreaming about these things. He's thinking, what am I going to do to win? So when he goes into the water, he has already been there. Which is why in the book he talks about one of the Olympics and the medals, and he'd already won I don't know how many golds, but he's in the water, and as soon as he dives in, his goggles start to fill with water. And eventually they're filling up. And so, of course, as he's going, he's doing a couple of lanes and thinking, what do I do? Well, he's already gone through this in his mind. So, in other words, he comes and he talks about it. It's fascinating. He talks about him that he's already in his mind, he's calculated how many strokes it will take to get to the end. So he's got it and he's thinking, where I am, I've probably got about 20 strokes to go, 21 strokes. So I'm going to give it all. And so that's what he does. So he can't see where he's going because it's all filled up in his goggles. And so he's swimming blind in the final. And so he gets there, 21 hits the wall. He gets up and he just looks, WR. He got a world record in the midst of something bad, which for most swimmers would have put them off. Why? Because he'd already visualized the reward of winning. He knew what to expect when things go wrong. Start to imagine what it could be if you can get rid of that habit. Dream about it. Imagine it. Yes, put some pain to doing the habit and to some pleasure to stop habit. Yes? Do you think you can do that? Okay, so far you're hopping mad. Okay. E, now I've changed E, because under E I had enlist help. But I've changed that since I did that. And I want it to be eternity focused. The reason is under Vera we had it being attractive, yes? But we've got to make it still attractive to break a habit. But in order to do that, you've got to think differently. Because if you go back to the beginning, that bad habits give immediate reward, good habits give prolonged. It's called delayed gratification, which we saw the marshmallow effect, didn't we, last week in the video of what the difference is. So in other words, if you become eternity focused and you think about eternity and you think about that, that will help you to see that actually there's a reward coming. but it's not going to come immediately. And so your mind gets used to it and thinking, okay, I'm excited because there's a reward coming, and I don't know when it's going to come, but I know it's coming, and I'm excited at the thought of what's going to come because I've broken this habit. That's eternity focused. That's why, for example, Paul the Apostle would say, I would rather be with the Lord than be here with you. In other words, death didn't phase him. He had in his mind, all he could think about and dreamt about was eternity. He had what it's going to be like with God. What's he going to focus on? And unfortunately, we fear death. But death shouldn't be something to be feared. Now, okay, there are some forms of death that yes. So in other words, if somebody was to feed me into a furnace feet first, I kind of not in favor of that. But actually, the after death, as it were, after that painful bit, whatever, I'm looking forward to eternity. I don't know about you, but I enjoyed the worship this morning. I just love the way that they lead us into worship. We just praise and excited. And I close my eyes and I think, just think what eternity is going to be like. Just think when we got the greatest worship band in the whole universe. Yes, we're going to have the greatest singers that have ever been. Angels can sing far better than we can sing. Yeah, we're going to have greatest instruments. We're going to have angels that they themselves are made to be instruments. It's going to be a worship session that's going to be totally incomparable to anything you ever experience on this world. And it's going to be in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, millennium after millennium after millennium. We're going to praise him and not get bored. Hey, it's exciting, isn't it? So what are you looking at? Where your vision? I hope that helps. I hope that helps, yes? And so just watch this and then I'll come back on that. A bit of light entertainment. But you can see the point, can't you? That so often we, because of the craving, because of the desire, we continue to do something that we don't want to do. We often know something's bad for us, and as that illustrates very clearly, willpower is never going to be enough. So you've got to hide it, you've got to put some obstacles in the way, you've got to associate some pain to continuing to do the bad habit, and you need to be eternity focused. Amen? Now, one of the things about habits is that there are certain things that trigger it, and of course that's the big thing, is the cues at the beginning. And the experts talk about something called HALT, which they say is a big thing with regard to particularly your moods, because sometimes it's our moods that make a difference, don't they? So, for example, like Kath would say, even from our early days in marriage, she would say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And in other words, if I'm hungry, I get quite... Yeah. So she feeds me, and I'm happy and chappy again, you know. So in other words, it affects us. So they've said that our mood is based on 4 things, which they have the acronym HALT, which is hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Any of those issues are what is going to set you up, and you might want to look at some of the things in your life, in your world, or some of particularly the thing that you're looking at, the one big habit that you want to break, and you want to think to yourself, is there a certain mood? Am I feeling a certain way? Is there something that's triggering it? Maybe, you know, there's somebody upsets you. You've got a moment, you know, when somebody does something and you're suddenly triggered. And you realize my response to that is such and such. Why? Because I'm hungry, or because I'm angry, or whatever it might be. Yes? So they're important things to understand. But one of the big things with regard to triggers is called place and time. Time and place. Both of these two things are important. We've talked about place, haven't we, to a certain extent? But time and place, they both work well together. And just to give you a scenario, in the Bible, there's a guy called David. And David, there's a story of David where the Bible says that at the time when kings go to war, he decides to stay home. So he's now not in the place where he should have been. He's in another place. And he's at the time when he should have been out to war, he was at home. And he just happened to be walking along the rooftop, as you do. But I don't know if you remember John Andrews when he did the Winning in the Wilderness series with us. He showed us the roofs and things on there and some pictures, which was really quite fascinating because obviously they're flat roofs. But because he was in the wrong place and the wrong time, he saw something that changed his life. And so that's why he ended up with Bathsheba. He saw her, she was bathing, and as a result of that, he did all sorts of things. First of all, he had her husband killed. He said, send Uriah into the front and the thick of the battle, and he says to his commander, he says, let me know when he's in the thick of the battle and how it goes. In other words, he wanted to know that he was dead, and then he marries Bathsheba. And so it's all a journey. So in other words, where are you? Think about the place and the time and the mood and maybe the moments that trigger things in your life that cause you to go pear-shaped, that cause you to go into a bad habit that you really want to break. And the other thing that is important is the people that you spend time with, because the people influence you massively. Now, we are built to copy people. So we copy the people that we're in. And there's lots of things where you can look on the internet and you can see where they've done experiments where you can have people in a row and if everybody gives the same answer, even though you're the only person that's not in the experiment, everybody else is kind of wired up, knows what's going on. You can have, say, 5 people on a panel, and they show you one of them is like lines. So they have like one line that's the length, and they have 3 other lines, and there's only one the correct length. And of course, everybody knows which is the correct one, but everybody that's in the experiment, they all say the wrong line, and the person who they're kind of testing and seeing what he'll do, will he say the right answer or will he say it? They nearly always go according to the peer pressure, even though they know it's wrong. So in other words, the people around you affect your life. They make a massive difference on you. So think about who are you hanging around. If you're in a bad habit, who are you hanging around with? Whose habits are you copying? Because it makes a massive difference about the people in your life. So let me ask you, are there people who love God? Are there people who are faithful in attending church? Are there people who are faithful in going to Connect Group? Are there people who are faithful in serving in their church? Look at them. Are they there? Or are there people that have bad habits? Are there people who swear and smoke and do all sorts of other things? You know what I'm trying to say? Think about what do they do? Are there people that are quick to get angry? Because if they do, you're going to get angry. Do they swear? Then you're probably going to start swearing. So in other words, we copy. We have what they call mirror neurons that we are constantly copying. That's why as children we are copying all the time. We learn so much from what we're copying. So change your environment, change the people, think about the moods you're in at certain things, and it's so important to do with that. Because Proverbs 13 verse 20 says, those who walk with the wise will become wise, but those who walk with the fools, they come to harm. They suffer as a result of it. Or Proverbs 27 verse 17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Is the people around you, are they sharpening you or are they making you blunt? The people around you make a difference to who we are. So let me ask you that question. Who are you hanging around with? It is so important for us to do that. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 33 says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. You can't get away with it. It's always going to affect us, the people that we hang around with. So let me ask you a question. Do you like the trajectory, the direction of your life as it is? Do you like what you're doing, the habits that you have at the moment, of where they are leading? Or do you want to change them? Do you want to change them? And I believe today God is saying, I want to see you change. I want to see things differently in us. Because Christ will strengthen us. Christ will never allow us to go beyond. There's always a way out. That's what 1 Corinthians talks about. It says that even though you get tempted, you're not going to get tempted in any way except what other people are tempted in. But God is going to provide a way out for us. So what is the direction of your life? Are you like Samson, that you're on a long journey and you're taking 25,250 steps in the wrong direction? Where is the steps that's taking you? Are the things, the daily habits that you've got? Because at some point or other, you're going to end up somewhere. Where your daily habits are, they lead somewhere. It's a path that you're on. It's a direction you're on. And so it's so important that you do that. So let me ask you that. Take your Connect card out and maybe put on your Connect card. You might want to write down there, what are you going to do this week to break a habit? Going to confess and just put something down there. Declare, this is what I'm going to break this week. This is what I'm going to change this week. This is what I'm going to work on this week. It might be any aspect of it. It might be, this week I'm going to look at my environment and think about where it is in my environment that things change. It might be any of those aspects. Just put it down. Write down hope. I hope you've already written it down. But think about those issues and the aspects of what they do. Because today, I believe God is wanting us to change. He's wanting to see our lives changed as a result. You see, Jesus died so that we could change. Jesus died so that we could have new life. Jesus died so that we could have salvation. He paid the price. He took the hit. He took the punishment so that you and I could have the pleasure that awaits in eternity. So let's have that. And think about it. Where is your focus? Is it in eternity? Is it focused on what's going to come in the future? Are you willing to delay the gratification of the now in order to see some of the things that will be in the future? Today, are you willing to say yes to Jesus? Today, are you willing to surrender your life to Jesus? It's important. It's a decision that you can make today. If you want to make that decision today, then just put it on your card and we'll connect with you, because we believe that God is here. God loves us and He wants to change us. He wants to see us impacting our life with the daily things that we've got. You might want to do today, you might want to think about what Claire said. And actually, some of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to get involved with Safe Families. Yes, or something or other. You're going to help, because small acts of kindness change the world. Small acts of kindness change the world. Please do that in Jesus' name. Amen.
If you would like to know more, please visit us at www.thedestinychurch.co.uk.